Hello and welcome to the Addicts Anonymous podcast. I'm your host, Jamar. Today's episode 145, and we're going to be interviewing Chris F. How you doing this morning, Chris?
Hey, what's going on, man? Thanks for having me on.
No problem. I'm excited to do this. So let's get started. Tell me about your childhood and growing up.
Man, growing up, I grew up on Long Island, New York. Pretty much that's where I am now, man. Born and raised, and I probably had one of the best childhoods. Growing up on the water, fishing, snorkeling, crabbing, the best summers that you can think of, and yeah, man, it was just my best memories. Growing up, and my happiest times probably in my life had to be my childhood.
What kind of things would your parents take you doing?
Um, you'd say what would they have us doing? Is that what you said?
Yeah, what kind of stuff did you do for fun?
Like I said, growing up on Long Island, you're right near the water, so all my uncles had boats. My grandparents had a house right on the bay. So fishing, growing up, fishing was probably one of my favorite things to do, and just going on the boat as a family in general. We take the boat to the beaches on weekends and just hanging out with my brother, my sister, my cousins.
Yeah, my cousins.
that was the best times, I think, growing up.
That's great. So what was your school life like? Like your social life as well?
Schools, I was always a good student, normal kid, man. Was always a pretty decent student. Played sports all through high school, basketball, baseball, soccer. And just like I said, man, just was kind of a normal kid, man. Just hanging out.
So what was your life like? Or I should say, is there anything you could kind of pinpoint going back to your childhood that might have led to addiction issues? Anything at all? Or was it, like you said,
Yeah, I
all
mean, it
happy
was,
roses?
it was definitely, it wasn't happy. It was, unfortunately, my father passed away when I was 13.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
So that was definitely tough. It was tough on the family. I have a big family as far as, a lot of uncles, aunts, cousins. So that was like the first time, ever in my life I kind of saw that, life can knock you down. And life can kind of keep you down if you let it. And, there's no promises in life. And, I learned that pretty much, it was an early age that I had to learn that. And I don't want to say that's when my addiction started, because to be honest, I had no idea. I was not one of those people when the first time they had a drink, they automatically knew and said, "Oh yeah, I knew I was addicted right then and there." I still, after my dad passed, it still wasn't bad as far as, I was still, on Long Island growing up, still had my friends around me, still had that the normalcy in my life. It wasn't really until I went away to college is when things kind of really started going downhill. With a lot of things.
Real quick, what age were you when you first tried anything?
Well, I would say when I first tried, had alcohol, I was 14, and it was just, I remember I remember it actually. It was just kind of some kids hanging out behind a store, just had like 2 beers, whatever. Didn't even really like it at that young of age, man. It's not like it tasted good. Um, and I think the store owner kind of popped out, so we all ran. So it wasn't even like, I really got drunk or anything. It was just the first time kind of experiencing alcohol, and didn't really touch it again until I was 16. And that was the first time I started getting drunk, but again, that was normal, high school, hanging out on weekends, having parties and just drinking, at parties. It wasn't, anything out of control really at that point.
Just kids being kids.
Yeah.
So you said it was really when you got to college that the problem started. What kind of signs were you experiencing leading up to it?
Well, leading up to it, like through high school, I was definitely keeping a lot of feelings inside. Didn't really talk to anyone about, what happened with my father, and he passed away from cancer. So you pretty much just, he was a big, strong guy, and just kind of see him, wither away to nothing was pretty tough to experience as a kid. And man, I didn't really talk to anyone about it. I just kind of went through high school like I was, everything was all right, everything was normal, but I started developing a chip on my shoulder, man. I was pissed off that, he didn't get to watch me play sports. That's a big thing with a father son. He was able to, watch my brother. My brother was 4 years older than me, so we kind of watched my brother play high school sports, and he was always at the games and stuff like that. So me, playing and then kind of looking in the stands, and God bless my mother, she was always there. She never, you know, she didn't miss a stride. As far as when my dad passed, man, she taught me that you got to get up and just keep going. Like you can't sit there and say why me, because she had 3 kids she had to take care of. She got a job, she had to get health insurance. She had to just take care of us. She had no time to get pissed off and like I said, say why me. So that was my early um teachings from my mother of not staying down, and you have to get up and keep going. But through high school, like I said, man, I was just developing that big chip on my shoulder, and I noticed the more I would drink, the more the anger would come out. Um, so going away to college, the plan was to, the small school in Virginia, and I was going to play baseball, and things didn't really work out. And I remember just going to college and just seeing everyone's, especially with my roommates, all their fathers were there to see them, see them off to college, and that chip just started getting bigger, man. I was just starting to get more pissed off and started getting that why me attitude. And you go to college, man, there's no, you got no one watching you. You have a lot of freedom, and I just said, fuck it, man. I was just going out and drinking every night. I just started to drink and not really care about basically anything, and that really wasn't me, as far as like not giving a shit about school. Like I said, I was always a pretty decent student, but I just, the way I was starting to drink and really just kind of, I was experiencing some blackouts and experiencing like that anger that kept coming out, and I started kind of getting labeled as like that loud guy from New York that was just drinks a lot, and really that wasn't me. So I just kind of went with it, and that's who I became, and never went to class, didn't give a shit about it. First semester got 3 D's and an F, I think. They put me on academic probation, came back the next semester, really didn't give a shit. I think I improved a little bit, but not enough, where they basically just kind of suspended me, academic suspension for a year. So I ended up just coming back home. And that's when all you know, the depression started coming in, just being like, I can't believe like where I am at this point. I never would have thought that's where I would be. Like when I was in high school, like if you show me like that's who you are in college, I'd be like, no, that's not me. Fuck no. So really I knew that I was really disappointing my father, because I was disappointed in myself. I just didn't think I would be that person to fail out of school and, come back home, because you see people like that and you always be like, yeah, that's not me. And, that, but at this point, being, 18, maybe just turning 19, already started going to bars, already started really kind of blacking out every time I drank. And I was functioning though. It's why I think it took me so long to realize that there was a problem, because I worked. I worked hard. Landscaping, manual labor. I worked hard, played harder, but the drinking started definitely becoming more and more out of control. And like I said, I started blacking out pretty much every time I would drink, and that anxiety feeling of waking up being like, what did I do? Who did I do it to? Because it wasn't like I would drink so much and I would be happy. I would just become a totally different person. I think all that anger that I had built up inside me just kind of, man, would come out, and it would come out on the wrong people.
Who would it come out on?
You know, people close to me, my friends. You know, if I had girlfriends at the time, like usually them, you know, like it just, you know, it really shouldn't come out on anyone. You know, it should have been something I should have dealt with, you know, with either talking to a therapist or talking to someone about my anger. But like I said, man, I just kept all that inside. So, you know, it would just, like I said, man, it would come out to people who were closer to me, and you know, it wasn't fair to them.
So how long was it until you thought you had a problem?
I think around that time, like I said, and it wasn't really drinking to have fun anymore. I mean, don't get me wrong, I still had fun, you know. But I can tell it was more. It was like definitely used it to numb feelings. Started getting really like severe anxiety at that point. You know, really bad panic attacks, which I didn't know what they were, to be honest with you. I went a long time with that. That's kind of like another part of my story where actually it's probably I would say it's a bigger part of my story was dealing with anxiety and depression. And you know, at 22 I had my first pretty much rock bottom, I guess if you want to call it, on a blackout. Was driving, just don't even remember getting in my Jeep. uh Crash, hit 5 parked cars. Thank God no one else was hurt. It was just, you know, I just busted up my knee real bad, had to get reconstructive knee surgery. Somehow did not get in trouble with the police, which down the road, like, I mean, I don't know how to this day I never got a DWI, but, um, you know, that was the first time where it was like, I think you, even like family members, like, you know, you need to slow down to stop. Like, you got, you know, deal with this, or it's gonna, obviously it's gonna kill you. You almost killed yourself already. And you know, I didn't get it at that time. I was 22, still young. But this is the time where it was, I want to say it really, really started going downhill mentally for me, because I just, as soon as I was able to kind of move around and crutch around, dude, I was already going to the bars with my friends again. So just drinking so much and obviously not being able to work, and I gained a lot of weight. Um, you know, like I said, I was always an athletic person, so I think I ballooned up to like 250 around there. You know, and this is when the anxiety really started kind of controlling my life. You know, it was like I said, I didn't know what it was. I just kind of assumed something was wrong with me, and I was gonna die young, just kind of like my father did. Um, you know, anyone who's had panic attacks, it basically feels like a heart attack. So, you know, you think you're really like sitting there dying. And I say I went a good 10 years or so with having that like pretty much on a daily basis. Um, and through my 20s, which I don't really remember too much, to be honest with you, because that, you know, at that point, everyone was blacking out, you know.
At
And
that point, what? Say that one more time. At that point,
I'm sorry, at that point, I was, you know, every time I was drinking, it was just complete blackouts.
okay.
Um, so it was, you know, like I said, through my 20s are kind of hazy. Um, I just know that the anxiety was running my life. Is anytime I did anything physical, um, you know, it would just cause me to have these huge panic attacks. I just thought, like, just because of the fact I was so out of shape now, I was so fat, and I just did so much damage to myself that I was, like I said, I'm like, I'm just gonna drop dead of a heart attack at some point, you know. And everything I did was physical. I, you know, worked manual labor, so I was having these panic attacks on a daily basis, multiple times a day sometimes, and people had no idea. Man, I was just suffering in silence. Man, I'm sitting on the inside screaming, "Help! Help! Help!" You know, and I'm just steady working on that. Like, no one had any idea what I was going through, like on a daily basis. The mental warfare that was inside my head, like, to actually cause like physical symptoms, like, kind of. I mean, there was times where my arm would go numb, and I'd be like, "Holy shit, dude, I'm having a heart attack." There'd be times where my heart would just start racing, and I'm like, "Holy shit, I'm gonna have a heart attack." Yeah, I mean, there was times where it would felt like I would have these huge palpitations where my heart would almost stop. Like, it was just fucking with my head so much every day for so long. And the only thing that really helped and numbed anything was alcohol. So it's just in this constant, you know, like I said, work hard, play harder type mentality. And, you know, many nights of driving drunk and not even black and not even remembering. Somehow I never hit anyone other than that one accident I had with the parked cars. I never got into another accident. And I'm talking hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times of driving like that. And to this day, I thank God every day that I didn't kill myself or someone else, because there's no way I should be here right now. But for whatever reason, I am. And, you know, it took until around 30 years old when I finally had to break down and go see a doctor about what was going on with me, because I was ready for news that, like, hey, you have cancer or you have something, your heart's gonna, whatever it is. And they basically did all these tests, and like, other than and at this point I was 300 pounds. I was at my worst. You know, 300 pounds. And like I said, just the only thing that would help was alcohol to numb everything. And after they did all the tests and they saw that nothing was wrong with me, that the doctor said, you know, I think it could be anxiety. And I was like, anxiety? I had no idea anxiety can cause like those physical symptoms like that I was describing. And it just kind of blew my mind. And at first, like, I was relieved, and it lasted about 30 seconds. And then I was like, well, how the hell am I going to beat this? Like, how am I going to get over this, man? Anxiety. Like, it's, you know, and to this day, I think getting over that anxiety was probably one of the hardest things I ever had to do.
How did you do it?
I did start to see a therapist. They did put me on some medication, and the doctor actually wanted to put me on some blood pressure medication, because he did say my blood pressure was high. And I was like, no, there's no way I'm doing that. I'm too young to be doing that, man. I'm not going on medication now. So I went, I remember the day he told me, I went and signed up for a gym membership, started going to the gym, you know, and that mental warfare was not over inside my head with the anxiety. I was still having panic attacks to the point where, you know, I remember one so severely where I was on a treadmill, couldn't even run for like 5 minutes, and had this just overwhelming attack where I basically like freaked out, hit the button, stopped, you know, went out of the gym, drove home crying, being like, I can't do this, man. I can't beat this. I'm to the point where I'm like, I'm just gonna settle for fucking misery for the rest of my life. And you know, it's just something inside me kind of just was like, you know what? No, man, I ran 5 minutes today, dude. I'm running 6 minutes tomorrow. Like, I just started developing this mentality, and where it was like, I don't give a shit what happens. I'm just gonna keep going. And it took a while to really train my mind for that. And I was still having the panic attacks. They started being a little bit fewer, a little less severe. Started to lose a little bit of weight. This trainer introduced like this, you know, nutrition plan. That was the first time I realized how much nutrition played a part in everything. And you know, first, and then for 2 months I was actually able to stop drinking. And the 2 months followed that nutrition plan to a T. And man, when I tell you the weight melted, I dropped like between 50 and 60 pounds that first couple months. And it was pretty eye opening to me, like how much nutrition played a part in it. Alcohol played a part in it. So the panic attacks kind of were few and far between. Even to this day, I call them moments. I'll have some anxious moments, but nothing like I went through. And it was, you know, like I said, man, mental warfare inside my head every day. And to be able to push through that, I think really is the first time I got my training of my mind to keep going. And when life knocks you down, you get up and you keep going, you know, just like my mother showed me. And you know, got lost along the way, you know, here I am again. And it's that mentality that you just have to trust your instincts and know that if you keep going, you're going to get better, bigger, stronger, faster, whatever it is. And you know, unfortunately the alcohol was still there, because being able to lose that weight and kind of overcome the anxiety, my confidence kind of shot up, you know. And because I mean, I had zero confidence for a long time. So I started gaining some confidence. I was like, man, this is awesome. And, you know, sure enough, kind of went back to drinking. And for the next 8 years after that is it just got worse. You know, it's like as you get older, man, the consequences get worse. You know, and you know, went through a failed marriage. You know, went through many times of getting pulled over again, and still never got a DUI somehow. You know, just blackouts, just another reconstructive surgery on my face. You know, it's just the list goes on and on where I can just talk about all these incidents of alcohol.
What happened to your face?
You know, it's I told people I face planted when, you know, and you know, it was obviously, you know, coming from me, people believed it, but it was more of another you know, people that got the wrong end of my anger. You know, I was married for the second time at this point. I'm sorry, I wasn't even married. I was engaged to be married, and you know, it was just kind of an altercation, you know, between me and my stepson. Um, and you know, I don't really tell too many people this, but it got bad to the point where I got blasted in my face basically by this heavy lamp. So it's you know, it got my whole nose just kind of, you know, busted open. So I had to get reconstructive surgery on that. But obviously it was, you know, I don't remember too much from it. You know, I was so drunk that it was just it was a bad scene at the house. And you know, that wasn't even the last time I drank. That wasn't even enough of a rock bottom for me to stop, you know. Um it went on for a little bit longer after that. I think another few months or so after that, it kind of kept going with the alcohol. And like I said, I'm on my second marriage at this point, and it just wasn't getting any better.
So what did you do about your marriage? When did you guys split up?
Well, the first one, it was in my early 30s. Alcohol definitely played a part in that. I just wasn't able to get sober. You know, it was just wasn't it just wasn't in my mind. It wasn't ready to be married. I don't think. I don't think it was the right person. I was just, it was someone I was with for a long time. You know, when I was actually got together with her right after my car accident. So I was with her for, you know, she's been through a lot with the alcohol, and I think maybe I just got married for the wrong reasons, and it just wasn't happy with myself in general. You know, hated myself. You know, hated myself for a long time, just the way I looked, the way I felt, the way I was, just where I was in life, and probably just maybe got thought I owed it to her to marry her because she was with me for so long. So we ended up marrying her, and 4 years later, you know, we were divorced already just because I just was kept drinking and didn't give a shit about anything else. She always said she never had a husband; she had an alcoholic. So on my second marriage, you know, I was on the verge of losing that one as well. Um, Up until, you know, I got married in August of 17. Almost blew it on the honeymoon. Had a horrible, you know, experience there with blacking out and drinking, and you know, just um. So December 24th of 2017 was actually my last drink. So it was a bad Christmas Eve, another bad scene, and you know, December 25th, my wife said, "Get out, you know, get out of the house." And I left, and I spent Christmas night in a hotel room, man, eating Burger King because it was the only thing open. And that was my final, like, kind of, it wasn't even the worst thing I did drinking, but like mentally, that was it, dude. That was my rock bottom right there. I was just looking around being like, this is where I am right now. And on the verge of basically another failed marriage, Christmas night in a hotel room, you know, at 38 years old. That's not where I wanted to be. And that was the last time.
Did you do anything to get yourself help? Did you go to rehab or
Yeah.
anything like that?
I didn't do rehab. During my 20s, I did a couple stints of outpatient rehab, but it just didn't take. You know, I just really wasn't ready. Um, did some AA meetings in my 20s as well, but again, just went to appease other people. So you know, obviously I knew AA. I knew where I can go to a meeting. So I just, you know, went to a meeting that was close to where I was, and the people were just, I can tell, were just such genuinely nice people that really wanted you to get better, and like they see it on your face, and again, one of the sayings that they say in there is like, no one comes in here on a winning streak. So like when people walk in the rooms, you tell when there's a new person, man, they come right up to you. And it was just kind of overwhelming where I was like, wow, man, this is crazy. And they found a great home group, and just kind of been there since. So that definitely helped me out.
That's great. Happy for you.
Thank you.
So that's quite the story you have.
Yeah, it was it was definitely it took a while to get sober, like I said, from the minute I started drinking to when I got sober. So it's definitely a lot of I can go on and on about all the details and all the horrible nights and just all the feelings of anxiety and all that, but it's I try to, I don't want to say I don't think about that, because I do. It was your past. It's part of you. It's who you are. It's what makes you who you are today. So, um, I always called it the darkest days of my life, but I look back now, and it's honestly the best days of my life, because it put me to where I am today.
So is there anything you're doing nowadays to stay sober? Any type of tips or tricks?
Yeah, I'm still involved with AA. I'm not as involved, I guess, as like some people are with it. I do have the home group, a sponsor I talk to here and there, and to be honest, I'm coming up on 5 years of sobriety. I never really went through the steps or anything. What really helped me was having a group of people that, for one, were similar to me. Like you talk to other people about drinking, and it's like it's hard to talk to a person who's not really in that same capacity or that same mindset, or basically who's not an alcoholic. It's hard to talk to them sometimes, because they don't really understand what's going on, or can comprehend how much like drinking we like that we had to do, and to help us out, to numb shit. And um so I think just having similar people around me and having that accountability factor was huge. um I'm a prideful person. I'm a competitive person. I don't like to lose. And, they always talk about pride as one of the seven deadly sins, and how it's bad, this and that. And, I'm like, you know what? It's who I am. I'm a prideful person. So I got to kind of put a positive spin on it. And, I would always say, if I drink, I lose, and I don't want to lose. So I kind of just put that, I don't want to go back to the rooms and tell people I lost and how to drink. So it was like that accountability factor that really helped me. And, from there, I was able to kind of take all my past experiences and turn that into I don't it basically a brand, my own personal brand. It's a lifestyle brand, and I started it a few years ago. And I never thought I would be someone to have a podcast, because I don't like talking. I was never good at public speaking. Anytime there was public speaking in college, if I saw it, I would basically just drop the class, or I would hype myself up and be like, all right, I'm going to be able to do it, and go through the whole year thinking I'm going to do like if it was like a final thing that had to be an oral presentation, and I just wouldn't do it, and I would end up failing the class. It was just something with me with public speaking, it was just not good. I just couldn't do it. And so if you told me I was gonna have a podcast, I would have been like, nah, I don't think that. I think you got the wrong guy. Um, so having a podcast and having people come on and talk about their stories about addiction and overcoming really adversities in general, it's almost to me like having like a one-on-one meeting. That has really helped me like stay sober as far as that goes. But it really my family, in particular. I got two young boys now. Those guys, man, they I know I have to be the best for them, and it starts with not having a drink. So those are my whys right there. And they weren't around when I first got sober, but they're definitely keeping me sober now.
That's great. So one last thing, because I heard you just mention this. So you have a podcast also?
Yeah, I do. It's I call it the Primal Mindset, and it's really because I started like I said, a lifestyle brand called Go Primal. Started it when COVID hit actually, and it's really it. Like I said, it overcoming all those adversities, and to me, it was 100% like it's all about mindset. And to me, Go Primal, it when I think of Go Primal, I think of like a lion that's on a hunt, and he uses his instincts to see something that he needs out of necessity, and he doesn't stop until he gets it, and that's to me was like something that when I first, was talking about that one incident, that one panic attack where I really kind of switched everything, and that was like the where the primal mindset was born, and I didn't know it at the time, but it was just that mindset to trust your instincts. Like I saw something that I wanted to get over that anxiety. I wanted to love myself again. I wanted to get in better shape. I wanted to be healthy. I just wanted so much better for myself, and I know I deserved it, and I just saw that, and I would not stop until I got it. And that was like that mindset that I want to try to help people with. And that's what to me, I always say, never settle. I was at that point where I can just settle for misery, or I can, struggle and struggle to get better, and keep pushing through and struggle to get what I want. And that was the whole premise behind the Gold Primal brand. And I started out with just having apparel, because I didn't really know too much about starting a business. So I figured that was the best way to get my logo out there for people to see it and be like, oh, in my mind, I think, oh, they're gonna see it. This is apparel's gonna fly off the shelf. This is gonna be great, but it didn't really work out that way. And I kind of, through talking to people and kind of switched it and being like, listen, Go Primal is about you. It's about your lifestyle, man. Put your story out there. Let people hear it, because people want to feel that hope that they can do it. Because I'm just a regular guy, man. There's nothing too special about me. So I think if people see that I can do it, then there's gonna be hope for them. And that's when I kind of went into the podcast and putting my story out there and having guests come on and put their story out there. Then someone kind of reached out and um just saw what I was doing on social media and seeing how good I was doing. And I didn't mention it before, but ultimately I ended up losing 100 pounds. So to see the transformation, and people close to me just can't believe how much better I am, and mentally, physically. um when someone reached out to me, I kind of pivoted into the whole mindset coaching, and started getting some clients with that. And I teach, I call it the primal mindset. And I don't even like to really call it coaching. I call it more of like a partnership. I'll be your mindset partner, man. I'm there with you. Let's go. Like I'll be there every day with you, holding yourself accountable, because that's what it is, man. People just kind of need that, to have someone hold themselves accountable. And I know the stuff that I can do, and I know how I got through everything, that I can teach people to do the same thing. And that's pretty much the three aspects of my brand. I got the apparel, the podcast, and the mindset partnership.
Great. I'm glad you got yourself keeping yourself busy, and glad you're sober. Quite some stuff. It's good stuff you're doing.
Yeah, man. Thank you. I really appreciate it. And yeah, it's to have, something to actually that I have passion for now is something that I was really looking for a long time, man. And I didn't want to just kind of go through life just doing, a job that you didn't really like to be at, being miserable. And to be able to help people and get them past that point as well is something that, really means a lot to me.
Yeah, it's great. So I think that's a good place for us to wrap it up.
Yeah, man.
Unless you had anything else you wanted to add.
No, it's like I said, it's like I like to kind of talk where I'm at now, because it's a little bit shows people that they can get there. So like, yeah, I'm glad that I was able to wrap it with that, and give people with that sense of hope that, if I can do it, then they definitely can. And I, if people ever want to reach out to me, man, I'm an open book. I don't mind talking to people. you know, I got better at talking to people. So, you know, it's the more I do it, the more I really love just connecting with different people.
Awesome, dude. Awesome. All right. So for everybody watching and listening, I hope what you like. I hope you liked what you saw and heard. And go to our apologies website. Our website is www.addicts-anonymous.com. You'll find plenty of resources and literature. You can also check us out on Facebook, Twitter, Reddit, Instagram, and TikTok. So we have a lot of stuff on there as well. I hope once again you like what you saw and heard. And until next time.